Welcome. Welcome to, I don't know why I didn't hear the sound here. Welcome to week 4 overview for Park University English 306B Professional Communications. Try to keep this relatively short because a lot of it will be mirrored in announcements and discussion board posts, but this is a big and very important week in business communication writing. So let me get right into it and show you some stuff. So the main work today or this week is getting your research proposal ready for submission. I warned you back after week 1 that you should be doing some preliminary research, looking into your subject to make sure that it's going to work. And that you're going to be able to fulfill requirements. So I want to kind of talk about that a little bit and show you a couple of samples and get you prepped for that very important work. So let me share my computer screen. Lots of windows open here. So many things. Gotta find. There we go. All right, here we are in the classroom. This is the assignment, the written assignment, which I abbreviate, WA number 4, written assignment number 4. Here's the discussion, right? So in the discussion, you're asked to write a post to describe your idea. Gives you a variety of questions to answer. In reply, gives you some things to focus on, and the usual cadence. Like with week 1, I'm going to reply to every single one of these and give you my feedback on whether I think you have a viable idea and it's going to work for your proposal. In some cases, I may say, don't write the proposal on this. I will try to get these answered as quickly as I possibly can. If I told you that back in week 1 and you didn't get my message, go back to week 1, read the message, make sure that if I said this is not going to work, that you don't proceed. I try not to tell people things are not going to work because for my part, I'm just guessing. I'm making a pretty good educated guess because I've taught this course for a long time. I've seen a lot of these reports and have a pretty good sense of what you need. But sometimes I'm wrong. So it's not a hard veto, if you can make a case that you think it's going to work, then we can negotiate that. But for the most part, if I say it's not going to work, I'm usually right. In other cases, I said, I'm not sure if it's going to work. So you have to prove to me that your idea is going to work. This is the first step toward that. You're going to describe your idea here. Give me some sense of your information that you're going to focus on, right? And so I'll show this through looking at the proposals. You write this, I'll give you feedback as quickly as I can, but because of the number of you, I often can't get through every single person until we get close to the deadline for the assignment itself. So one thing I'm going to do to help with that is I'm going to extend this deadline a couple of days to Tuesday, April the 14th. So this won't be due. I haven't made the change yet. I usually wait to make these changes till we get to the week because usually, like you notice they just changed the Unit 3 assignment on Saturday. This one I'm changing a week in advance and pushing it back 2 days to give you extra time to work on your proposal. It's probably the most complicated assignment so far, so I think you just need more time to work on it. You also need to give me time to respond to everyone. Because if I am telling you some advice that changes your proposal, or I'm telling you not to proceed with it and you got to pick something else, then you have time to adjust. And of course, you can always ask for extra time if you don't get my message quickly enough and you need some extra time. I have things highlighted here that you definitely should pay attention to. Again, all the requirements are here in the written assignment. So it's not like I hide requirements anywhere else. They're all right here. But I do write a lot of other stuff, both in announcements and discussions, to emphasize things and to get us to discuss the assignment. And more than ever before, I'm going to post a bit of advice every single day in the discussion about this assignment, and I want you to engage there and discuss with me. It'd be great if every single person in class got into that item, had questions, had reactions. That would be fantastic. So you'll see some things highlighted here, such as, again, really thinking about design and scan factor in visuals. The thing about how you don't have to pull from your own organization. In fact, in some cases, that's not gonna really make a very good report, and you should strongly consider the country assignment because it's very easy to accomplish. Then a reminder about doing annotated bibliographies, which I'm going to show you when I show you samples, but I actually showed you what an annotation, a site and annotation looks like right here. And the warning not to copy the abstracts out of the library database, because that would be plagiarism. And actually, I probably should show you that. Maybe I'll make a separate video later this week. I don't really want to do it today. On the fly, I'm going to make a note. Second video, library search. So, you know, maybe even tomorrow I'll make this video, you know, but I don't want to make this video longer by doing that. So let's look at samples. Let's look at samples of what these assignments look like. And unfortunately, because of the way this is set up, I have to share separately. All right, this is the one I want first. All right, so this is sample number 5. So I'm going to have 2 folders this week of samples. One will be new samples that are not country assignments, and the other will be older samples that are country assignments. But the difference is that the annotated bibliography requirement wasn't part of the previous assignment when people were doing the country assignments. So none of the country assignment samples show the annotations to the bibliography, which you are now required to do. So that's a very important distinction. But I do want to I'll show you one sample I have 4 or 5 of each. And so this is a really good one. You see it's from not too long ago. It's about not even quite a year old, about cannabis accessibility in the US military. So this is a really good subject, right? This is a really good subject. And here's the thing about resources for a subject like this. You don't have to find just resources that specifically are about cannabis accessibility in the US military. You might not find any resources about that. You know, you can find related resources, you know, so this person obviously could draw on tons of resources about cannabis oil, particularly CBD oil, which is what this is about, be able to draw on those resources, right? So, but really nice design. See this cut-in quote here, really like, you know, we got a nice visual. You know, I'm encouraging you to have visuals with people, and often people that are smiling and doing things. This one, because it's talking about people dealing with depression and difficult issues with CBD oil, you know, is in pain, is not necessarily a happy photo, right? You know, you have to have these sections. You know, you have to introduce your idea. You have to have an overview for your idea. You have to write about your problem. Key causes for change, I think, are related to topics to investigate, but topics to investigate is something you have to have as well. You have to analyze audience. This one kind of split the topics to investigate between these causes for change and topics to investigate. I'm kind of split on the format, you know, so I'll give you advice, you know, in announcements and discussion about not copying the book too closely, because the book shows an abbreviated example of this assignment. You know, so you don't want to do exactly what the book does, but you don't want to sacrifice detail by not doing what the book's done, you know. So this one was a little short on questions, and there could be some sub-questions. There could be a little more complicated stuff here in topics to investigate, but otherwise it's good. Also a note, and you know, if you look in here and the person has has used information in the overview or the problem section, that's paraphrased. And in some cases, there is information in here that's paraphrased. She should have had citations. So that's a flaw. And I'm really challenged to get a perfect assignment sample, because, I get ones that are showing certain things, but there's always flaws with them, which is why I want to discuss them in discussion so I can bring up flaws. Unfortunately, we didn't really have a robust discussion last week, so let's hope maybe we could have one this week. Now, you notice here we have cites and annotations. They're supposed to be in the methods and resources section, not a separate section. And the writer points out that none of these are scholarly sources. So since I decided to do a separate video to show looking in the library, I'll do a separate, when I do that video, I'll talk about the difference between a regular source and a scholarly source, because this is part of your assessment for whether your subject is viable, is can you get the needed content, and can you get the needed sources, and part of the needed sources is a couple of scholarly sources. So we'll have to look at what that is. But this very much shows the format in terms of the APA style citation, and 2 paragraphs of annotation, one which is a summary and one which is an evaluation. And that's very clearly written about in the assignment. And you got to have both paragraphs, because each paragraph is worth 20 points. So if you have just one of the paragraphs, if you summarize but don't evaluate, you're losing 20 points. And I have to grade by the rubric that way. What the warning is about the abstracts is, and we'll look at this in the next video, is if you pull, a lot of the sources you find via the library are going to already have summary abstracts associated with them. And often that's a good way to start to get an idea of what the article's about. But if you just copy the summary abstract and put it here, then you're committing plagiarism. So you got to make sure that if you find a source that way, you could rewrite the summary abstract in your own words. Then it's not plagiarism, and you don't have to cite it because it's not really part of the source. I mean, we know this is paraphrased from the source, So you have to have 3 of these. You could have more, but 3 is fine. In the next video, I'll talk about scholarly sources. One of the things that students often miss completely or don't do correctly is the work schedule. And so your work schedule has to end with the submission of the final report at the due date, or when you expect to submit the final report, which I didn't figure that out, and my calendar's behind the screen, but it's the last day of the semester is when the final report's due. If you think you might deliver it a couple of days early, you could set the due date a little earlier, but sometimes students have set it, months after the semester is over, which is the wrong date. So this work schedule has to mirror what we're doing, what you're doing. And so follow the book format a little bit. This is just to show me what the stages are that you'll do your work, drafts, outlines, things like that. I don't care whether you follow it or not. It's really for you, but I want you to think about it. And this person separated the PowerPoint and the oral presentation in a separate schedule because that's due the week before the final report. And that was kind of cool. That's one of the reasons why I kept this sample. And then there has to be qualifications, costs and benefits, call to action, So not everybody's going to have cost and benefits. I believe you have to have qualifications, but cost and benefits are great if you have, depends on your subject. Definitely end with a call to action, and could be a little longer. I let this go with hers because part of it's in cost and benefits, so it's fine. But good visuals also. But if appropriate to your subject, pictures of people doing happy things and smiling and laughing is a huge psychological effect on us as readers, right? So let's look at the other one, which would be great if it had those kinds of visuals. But I keep pushing for these kinds of visuals that I don't always get. Okay, here we go. So with a country assignment, you know, you got to have country-specific visuals. You know, you don't have to have them all here in your proposal. You definitely have to have them in your final report, but you're doing problem and country overview, and you'll see this person has added citations for when she's paraphrasing factual material. This is exactly what you should have done, exactly what the previous person should have done. But you know, set it up like this. In fact, the samples work great as templates. You can borrow these formats and designs. It's okay. Those are not, that's not considered plagiarism. Often students do that. Just make sure you replace all the content with your content. Don't leave in any material from the other student, you know. So this is quite a big country overview section, which is what you typically do with this assignment, especially if you're doing the country, you know. So this is very robust. Audience topics to investigate is a lot more questions here than the previous, and there's multiple questions for each idea. It's a lot better. But if you're going to continue on the page, you should have a new header here that says topics to investigate continued. That would be nice. And then you see it's just the methods and resources without the annotations, because they weren't required to do the annotations back here in 2015. So just a reminder that you have to have the annotations. This person had many sources. She would have to have at least 3 annotations. I would be cool with her not annotating every single source in the case that she has this many, but you have to annotate at least 3. Qualifications, work schedule, call to action. You don't have to sign it, but it was kind of cool with a little logo. There could be more pictures in here of people enjoying themselves in Spain. Anytime we can show people smiling and laughing and enjoying themselves, it has a powerful, powerful psychological effect on the reader. So this is definitely something to think about. All right. I think I have done what I wanted to do today in terms of talking about both the written assignment and the discussion. So, you know, it's good to get you going. I'm probably going to post this video before I post my written overview, just to kind of mix it up this week. But I've already just decided I have to do a second video tomorrow or later this week. I'll try to do it tomorrow. I'm searching the library and what's a scholarly source. So thanks for your kind attention. Let me know if you have questions. We'll see you around the classroom. Bye-bye.